When my younger daughter was in kindergarten, this was 5 or 6 years ago, she wanted to play sport. My wife and I talked about it. We figured we'd sign her up for baseball with the little local league around the corner. I went online to sign her up. I had to give, of course, her name, my name, $100. And then they want you to indicate your commitment to helping the team. And they do this with 3 check boxes that you have to check one before you can get through the process. And the first one is, I'd like to be the head coach. The second one is, I'd like to be an assistant coach. And the third one, I don't remember precisely the language, but it said something like, I don't really want to do anything. If no one else will do anything, you can call me. Maybe I'll bring snacks to one of the games. So I didn't check the first one to be head coach because I don't know that much about baseball, right? I played when I was a kid. I only played 2 or 3 years. I was coached by my friend's dad. I don't know how much he knew about baseball. But in any event, I don't know enough about the game to really understand the nuance of it. I always played football from 2nd grade into college. Where she's signing up for football, which of course I would never let her do. Not because she's a girl, because she's on the ice hockey team and she's the goalie, but because football is dangerous. Anyway, if it were football, I would have head coach, let's win the championship, I'd be right out there doing it. But baseball, I don't know much about it. So I didn't check that one. The second one, about being assistant coach, I didn't check that one either, really, because I just am a bit afraid of commitment. And secondly, I didn't want to be in the championship game at the end of the year and have the head coach turn to me and ask me to go do something or tell one of the kids to do something and that, like baseball speak, or worse, hit me with the signals, right? Like, and I'd mess it up. We wouldn't win the championship. That would be on my shoulders the rest of my life. I don't need that kind of pressure, right? So I checked the third one, agreeing to nothing, right? So 3 weeks go by and I get this email from the organization that says, we are delighted that you have agreed to be the head coach for your child's team, the Pirates. Please come to the coach's orientation in 2 weeks or whatever it was. You can get the roster and you can pick up the team's uniforms. My first thought was, really, y'all, you scraping kind of along the bottom of the barrel for coaching talent here? I already said I didn't want to do it. My next thought was, there's a mistake. So I sit down at my computer, I begin to type out my response, dear Madame and Messieurs. Clearly we have a mistake here, I didn't sign up for this. Someone, anyone, literally anyone with an email address and a pulse would be a better choice for this. Maybe there's somebody's drunk uncle who never even played but has a really unhealthy, slightly disturbing fascination or obsession with the Phillies, and he'd probably like to do it. So see if you can find him. Thank you for your consideration. I didn't send the email though, because my wife said, you might enjoy it. I think, Adelia, our daughter, would get a lot out of it. And she said, and I think you'd learn a lot about, I thought she said baseball, but she said yourself, right? I didn't hear it that way. And my daughter was all excited about it. She's like, hey, that's great. We'll be on the team, spend time together. It's like, fine, I'll do it. I don't think we're going to go all the way to the championship, but I'll do it. So a couple weeks before practice begins, I'm doing research, reading articles online about tips to drills and things to do. I'm watching YouTube videos. A lot of middle-aged, slightly overweight guys, ill-fitting polos, coaches' shorts, talking about, you gotta hold a bat like this, swing all the way through, keep your eye on it. Anyway, I thought it was kind of helpful, and I was feeling better, and I took my daughter out throwing the ball around. I'm giving her some tips, some pointers. She thinks I know what I'm talking about. This is gonna be fine, right? What I didn't do is ask any of the parents on the roster to help me. And the reason was, I figured lots of them had played baseball, lots of them would show up to practice because they love their child, and they would want to be there, and I could just solicit their help. And I'll never be without someone there to help me with practice. So I wasn't that worried about it. I show up the first Saturday, we're throwing the ball, waiting for kids to show up, and I look and I see these 2 kids coming across the field by themselves. And I knew, I looked at the roster, I had fraternal twins. I was like, well, this must be them. And here they come all the way over, and they're like, is this the Pirates? I'm like, yeah, it's the Pirates. And I'm like, where are your parents? And I'm like, more specifically, where's your dad? Did he play baseball in college, and did he bring his glove? And they're like, no, he dropped us off. He's going to pick us up after practice. So I look, hoping to catch the guy so I could run and try to stop him. And another kid's coming, right, with no parents. And then I see something from over here, and it's another kid coming through the alternate entrance. And I'm like, they're like over in the bushes with these kids, like, you see that guy with the ill-fitting polo and the coach's shorts? That's the coach. You know, when he's not looking, run, because if he sees me, he's gonna make me help. All right, go, Timmy. So practice starts. I have 13 5- and 6-year-olds, and no help. So like 2 parents showed up. They sat so far away they would have needed binoculars to even see what we were doing. Probably the most frustrating hour of my entire life. In fact, I blocked a lot of it out. The only thing I really remember is there was a lot of talking, rolling on the ground, and touching of neighbors. Right, a lot of. But we get through it, right? So I make it through practice. And over the next 2 to 3 practices, games hadn't started yet. I learned a couple things that helped out. The first thing I learned is if you're trying to corral a bunch of kindergartners and they're not listening, just run them, right? I looked over to see the other teams. I'm like, why are they always running? They should be practicing drills. And then I realized kids can't put their hands on their neighbor if they're exhausted and they have a stitch in their side. So you just run them. Run their asses. Round the dugout, round the bases, touch the fence. Go run over, see what that other team's doing, come back. So, the other thing I learned is it's T-ball. There's no championship. There's no outs. There's no innings. We don't keep score. Everybody bats. Everybody goes around the bases. There's like no stakes to this at all. I almost had a nervous wreck. Panic attack before the season started, worrying how we were going to get to the championship. Suffice it to say, it ended up being a good time. I learned a lot about myself and baseball. I did get one parent who agreed to help me out a little bit, a guy by the name of Jackson. I think together we did a pretty nice job. So what I would say to you is if you have kids or you're ever going to have kids, when you go and you're signing them up to register and you're thinking about which box to check, just keep in mind that you too could have a really nice season and have a perfect record. No losses and no wins either. Thank you.